Hello, my name's Emma Bars. I work for Community Works and we support the community and voluntary sector in Adur and Worthing to maximise the impact that it has on communities. Welcome to the first in a short series of podcasts designed to share some key messages about the support available in our communities, how to recognise when someone needs additional support, and some key information and referral routes. These podcasts have been developed during lockdown, COVID-19, in recognition of the fact that a number of factors are likely to impact on our communities in the coming months. The ending of the furlough scheme, the likely increase in redundancies, financial debt benefits issues, as well as the potential impact of this and of lockdown on people's mental health, on domestic abuse, and on the safety and well-being of children and young people. So we're working with lots of partner projects to deliver some short podcasts on these topics and the local services available to help. The aim is that we're increasing the capacity of our communities to recognise when somebody needs some support and link them into some of our brilliant local services. Today we're joined by Leigh-Anna from One Stop Junction, which is a service delivered by Adur and Worthing Council. We've asked Leigh-Anna to cover what are the important things about work, about benefits, about debt, and about access to IT that local people need to be aware of right now. What might be the signs that somebody needs some help in this area? What are the key questions that projects could be asking when they're meeting with people? And what do we need to avoid saying? What are the take-home messages that need to be shared within our projects? And where can somebody get help themselves or refer people to help elsewhere? So I'm going to hand over to Leigh-Anna now. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, welcome everybody. It's really nice to see old faces and new faces, so thanks for coming along today. I am the coordinator for the One Stop Junction in Worthing, which formerly was the IT junction, but has changed as it's grown with the needs in the community, because what we were finding, just offering a digital isolation service out in community centres across Worthing and Adur, we were finding a lot of people were coming in going, I don't know how to save money. I can't do this. And because they weren't online, there was no way that they would have access to being able to update their benefits like universal credit, or they wouldn't be able to know where to go to save money. And in the simplest forms of like gas and electric providers, telephone providers and such forth. So it highlighted a massive area of need. And although there are some fabulous services out there, that grassroots, those people which wouldn't usually speak to anybody else, and they're coming in with a different, question or query, gave them that confidence once they started building relationships with us, where they started then to say, this is what we're concerned about. So from then, over the past 2 years, we have had the Money Junction. So it's under one big umbrella now. So we've got employment, we've got at risk of homelessness support and employment support as well. We've got the Money Junction, and we also still have the IT Junction. And that service, since the COVID pandemic, has changed, obviously. We've had to adapt and change the way that we work in order to be able to still be able to reach as many customers as possible. So in brief, obviously employment services, that is if you need employment support, we have an employment advisor. On our website, the One Stop Junction, you can click refer to us through that way. If you have anybody who says, I really need help, I haven't got a CV, anything like that, we have an employment advisor. If you have somebody at risk of homelessness and they are also losing their job, we also have an advisor that can support with that. So you can refer through our website to be able to speak with somebody about that part of it. And then it comes on to digital services. So digital, that has changed from being in 12 community centres to obviously being now an online support buddy system. So now what we are doing, we were very lucky in getting funding for some tablets which were fully loaded for people that do not have Wi-Fi. And so we could give those to them for free and they keep them. They had to obviously pay for the Wi-Fi after 3 months. And now what we're doing is we've called back in all of our laptops and computers that we were using at the community centres, and we are offering those out 3 month and 3 monthly subscriptions. So a family, if they are struggling to get online, people need help with homework, people want to apply for jobs but don't have the facilities at home to be able to do it, we can provide a computer for 3 months, and we can look to extend that as well if the need is there. So that's working really well at the moment, but again, that is dependent on the family having Wi-Fi and being able to get online. So we are at the moment looking at ways and means that we can get a package so that we also provide Wi-Fi with them as well. So that's something we are looking into currently. So the big thing that I work on now and lead on is the money junction. So Pete, you can refer through to us if anybody is worried about any aspect of their finances. I haven't got enough money to pay for my bills. I haven't got enough money. I've got rent arrears and I'm at risk of losing my home. I don't know what benefits I can apply for. I don't know where to turn. I've just lost my job. That's where we can come in. We can come in at any point. We're like that first line of defence, because this is at that point where people's pride and fear is ruling them and they don't know where to go. And sometimes people don't want to go into an official establishment. And again, this is where we've been very, very lucky, you know, that we can have that one-to-one contact with people and just talk to them about it. So we can meet in the community. We are going to look to be starting up face-to-face appointments, but currently we can still do it over the phone, advise people if they have to get stuck with absolutely anything, we can go and collect paperwork from them, pick it up, take it back, and we can keep on going back and forth. So there is ways of being able to still access us. So what do? We do budgeting support. So anybody who is struggling with bills, really wants to look at ways of saving money, we can help them do a budget, and then we will look at ways where we can then alter their budget or look at where we can save money. And believe it or not, I mean, we get a lot of results with that, because some people have been with the same gas and electric provider forever. And then all of a sudden we'll do a check for them and we'll go through it and we'll say, have you thought about there? They go, oh, we've saved some people over £1,200 just on changing that alone. Mobile phones is another big thing which we can easily look at changing over, because there's so many deals on that. People are paying out, you know, in excess of £25 a month for up to 4 phones in a household. So we look at all of the really, really good deals which give you the data and also the calls, and we can get that down, but 1/4 of the amount. So it's looking at those small ways of first being able to tackle, you know, where money can be saved. Then number 2, a lot of people do not know what they are entitled to in benefits, especially if you've just lost your job, or you've just split from a partner, or you are at risk of homelessness or anything else. This is where also we can then help, because we will look at what an individual and a family, or whichever way they want to do it, we can look at where there are maybe benefits not being claimed for. We have many, many people which are not applying for PIP when they're entitled to it, or they're overwhelmed by the forms and then they won't apply for it because they're too scared to, because it's a 40-odd page document. We will support them with doing that, and we will help them fill out the form if they can't do it. We also have access to looking at ways whether, because of working for the council, it's really, really good that we can then say, well, if somebody's rent, if it's not quite being covered, we can look at discretionary housing payments, help them pay for that, so it supports them with their rent payments. We can look at council tax relief as well, where maybe things have changed and then they need that being topped up. In Ada, it's automatically topped up. In Worthing, it isn't. So a lot of people aren't aware that they can actually go for this council tax relief fund. So there are lots of little ways that we can then look to see where we can slot in to help save people money. Another thing which people are very, very fearful of is universal credit. It's obviously now you have to be online. You have to be online to do it. And it was the whole universal credit when that came in that made me change over to including the money, because I realised that if you haven't got the digital skills, you're not going to get your benefits. So we needed to be prepared to be able to support people with being able to update their journals or know where to go, who to contact. And so we've got a lot of people where they might currently be on furlough, or they've got part-time work. Their mental health has then gone downhill. They don't know what they're meant to do with updating their journals, where they can then change over onto other benefits, or what they need to do with their benefit. So they can come and talk to us about it, because a lot of people are very, very put off or frightened about going into the DWP offices, and then they get put off because they're waiting for ages to get through on the phone. And unfortunately, they don't claim for everything which they could do, or they could have made those changes which would have made their lives that little bit more easy financially and supporting them. But because of that fear and getting fed up with waiting, that's where we can come into play. So we do support people with that side of things as well. Signs are really, I mean, you all know the signs. Anybody who's walking into a food bank is struggling. They are struggling. They are, you know, you don't go into a food bank willingly, do you? You know, you've got to be at the end of your tether to walk through those doors and admit that you need help. So straight away, you have that in with those clients, and they are going to talk to you. Some of them are going to be very guarded. So you're going to know which ones you need to, but it's about building trust with those people which are regularly using your service, which is exactly what I have to do with mine. Because if people know that I work for the council, they straight away put, you know, they put a different hat on me. So if they meet me as Leigh-Anna and I'm in the community and I'm a money mentor, all of that goes and falls by the wayside, and I get a much, much more honest and open relationship with my customers. So it is about just asking those questions. Like you said at the beginning, you know, people will lead in and say, I haven't got enough money to pay my rent, or I'm behind on this bill, and this has happened. They're going to be volunteering quite a lot of information to you already. And if those warning bells go off, right, okay, are you getting the right benefits? Are you making sure you're claiming? Have you got access to digital technology? Do you need support with employment, money, or digital? All of those questions, if you ask those, you can refer to us if they say yes. So, you know, the digital side of it, like I say, we can still offer it as a buddy system. We can do a loan system, and also, you know, we're looking into developing that further. The money side of things, we can look at the budget, we can look at the entitled to, we can look at supporting people if they find it hard to do writing and they find that they're just scared of doing it, which is most of the time. We have facilities, we have some lovely volunteers who go in and collect all of the paperwork. We've got these great post bags which we can put on people's doors, steps, they can fill them up. We go back and collect them so that, you know, they're not having to be out. So if they are vulnerable or they're shielded or isolated, we can still go to them. The need in the community, as you well know, you raised this at the beginning, is huge, absolutely huge. This is not going to get any better, which really all of you know that, you know, times are changing and things are going to get an awful lot tougher out there. We have a workforce now out there which are going for jobs which they wouldn't usually go for, which is going to make it harder for people which were struggling already with employment to go for jobs. So, you know, we want to make sure that we're still supporting people to be able to try and get the best that they possibly can, and to feel like they have that support where they get the tools in order to be able to take that next step, whether it's financial, digital, or employment. So that is us as an umbrella. And if you do refer to me, obviously we are very busy at the moment. Usually I will get in touch once I've received that referral. Within 72 hours, I will be able to get back to a client. If it's urgent and desperate, then you can put that on there, and, you know, but really most people's are urgent and desperate. But you can always contact me, you can email me. I'm happy to leave you with my email if that's easier, and make me aware of it, that referral's coming through, so that you've got that way of being able to communicate. But I am the only one who is trained financially. I have a team of hardy volunteers that deliver absolutely everything else. So the collection service, it's no different to you guys doing what you're doing with food banks. My team is voluntary, and they're absolutely fabulous. Fantastic. I've got only great things to say about them and what they can provide for the community. So again, we're first line support. We're there to be able to try and assist so that you get a result pretty quickly.
That's great. Thank you, Leigh-Anna. That's really helpful. I've certainly learned more about how the service operates, and it's good to hear that you've been able to develop sort of COVID safe approaches, because obviously part of that relationship based approach is Paul, Matthew and Jill and others giving the people that they've built a relationship with the confidence that it's going to be safe to get support, and sometimes just being able to answer those questions and say, if you're worried about this, you don't need to wait until the threat of COVID is gone, you can get help. So yeah, that's fantastic. That's really, really helpful.
Any concerns about, you know, a family, if you have additional concerns, please email me. Okay. You know, if you're wanting a personalised reply, because once that referral's come into us, we will work with that client until we need to, and it doesn't mean that we're going to work for 3 sessions. If their need is great, we've got some clients we've been working with for a year, where they've needed that ongoing support and signposting, and then where to go next. And they come back to us just to say, oh, can I just check? So we don't ever really sign people off, but also we're not going to be getting in touch with everybody who refers. So once you've referred them, that's it. We're not going to be going to you, this is an update on this client. We'll just roll with it. So that's why I say email me if you are wanting to know something. If they're repeating coming into a food bank and you think, oh, hang on, I thought I'd referred them, I'll just do a check and see where we're up to. And then at least then that keeps those lines of communication open.
That's great.
Even though I work for the council, I'm not treated by my clients as a council worker. As soon as I work with my client, this is why I say we never sign them off. If they need help ongoing, we will look at absolutely everything. That includes housing, that looks at children's support. If the children are needing support within the schools where they can access funding, we look at all of those things as well. So it's not just about the basic budgeting, entitled to check and then support from there. We look at absolutely everything. Yes, we do speak to every single one of their creditors if they give us permission to. If they do not feel as though they can do that, we also base our service and the success of what we do on the fact that all of our clients do trust us. And also the beautiful thing is that if people are at risk of homelessness, we can help them stay in their home because we've got those links in with the council. And we do frequently keep people in their own homes, or we look for things which are more affordable and support them with that. because a lot of people don't know how to fill out the housing forms. A lot of people are frightened to go on to Home Swapper. They don't have the fee to be able to do that. We can look at that. And also we can talk to the temporary accommodation team if people are at risk of homelessness. And I want to make a difference for the local community. And so, you know, I think it's when people actually meet us and they realise that we're very, very much a wraparound service. So we look at absolutely everything, and we don't turn people away if they're stuck with one thing or two things. We will look at them as so we're like I say, we are that umbrella which can capture absolutely everything. And then if it is something that needs further legal advice, or it needs to go to a debt advice agency, we can then signpost and support them while they do that. So we have our links in with CA, and we will go to them. I mean, because we can't deal with anything legal, but we certainly can look at all the paperwork leading up to that legal bit, so that they're better prepared, ready for that warm handover. And this is why I say, you know, take my email address. If you're ever concerned, if you know, you can drop me an email. That is the best way. All I'm saying is that once you put a referral through, that referral's with us. We take hold of that client. We work with them until they need us to, you know, and sometimes that can be through a PIP, then it'll go through mandatory reconsideration if they don't get the result they want. We'll go to the interviews with them, we'll go to tribunal with them, and we'll support them in tribunals. So we go through and support people so that they don't give up. We don't want to see people give up when we know that they can, you know, get that support which is out there. And we can also signpost to other services and support them with that. So we work very closely with Step Change, money advice organisations, as well as CA.
Thank you so much for your time today, Leigh-Anna. That's really helpful. It's clear to see that you are able to support communities in quite a holistic way, recognising where debt, housing, access to IT, benefits actually all impact on one another. And I think what we're keen to do is to support the emergency food projects, the food banks, and other community and voluntary sector organisations to feel that they've got the information to start conversations with people about these issues. We know that these things are going to be affecting our communities in the coming months, and the key is going to be getting people the right help quickly to make sure that they don't fall through the gap. So thank you so much. We've got podcasts coming up next around domestic abuse, mental health, benefits issues, as well as safeguarding. So please tune in. And if you have any feedback about these podcasts, then please do get in touch with us at Community Works, info@bhcommunityworks.org.uk. Thanks for listening.